folks, Captain Cadger here. Kind of bored, so thought I'd go through a little scenario with you. Let's say you're stranded on an island somewhere. You got an empty jug that you don't need. You're assuming you've already got your water situation handled. You don't need a way to purify water, and this is an extra jug. Like, you got plenty of water storage, water catchment, water making type of situation handled. What you don't have is, I mean, let's say you got some fishing line, you got tackle, you got, hooks, but you don't have any kind of lures or bait. You got hooks, line, sinkers, that type of stuff. And really, without a fishing pole to work a lure, the lure is really no good anyway. You would need some live bait to really be successful at catching dinner, especially if your life depends on it. So, again, it's not some top secret trick. A lot of you might know it, but I'm starting with a jug, empty water jug. And I'm just gonna go right around, start up like I'm making a funnel. I want to go right around the top. It's where it tapers, where the taper meets the flat. And I want to leave a little bit of flat on the funnel side. See, I kind of a little bit of a jagged edge. I'm not working with some really sharp tools here, but there you have. Let's see if I can take this handle off. And here we have basically the funnel. And I'm going to take that and stick it inside the jug, upside down. Oop. Now, what we want to do is get it jammed in there. I'm going to go around the outside and poke a bunch of holes in it so that we have room for water flow, oxygen flow, because we're trying to catch bait. We don't want it to die before we get a chance to go fishing with it. Going around, put a hole, twist, at intervals every, say, half inch or so, 3 on each side. Should be good. what you'd want to do is go around this rim and put a few holes in here, and you'd either use some wire or cordage to tie through each of those holes to tie the lid into there so that it doesn't come out. I want to tie a loop that you can untie on one side so that you can open it, and throw some leftovers, throw some rice, throw some anything in there, grain, fruit, berries, fish guts, whatever you can think of that any kind of fish might go after, that little small fish can get into the mouthpiece here. And the trick is they get in here and they get swimming around in here, and they're not too smart, they don't really find their way out, and they just get trapped in this area. That's the idea. Or they just go in there and feel safe in there, hiding from bigger fish, so they stay in there, and then when you snatch your little bait catcher out of the water, they're still in there. You'll want to put a rock in here so that it weighs it down so it's not floating, and you want to have a string tied to it up to shore, to a branch or something that floats. Have it anchored to a rock, floating maybe a foot or two above it. You can, and then you have a leader going up to a float, some way you can retrieve it. There's different ways you can do it, but just make something that fish will want to hide in from bigger fish. Even throw a couple of kernels of corn or some leftover corn and peas, believe it or not, will draw finger mullet because they like plant matter, and just about every game fish out there likes mullet. So there's your trick for the day on Captain Kedger's Random Ramblings. It's nothing new. It's not a super secret. One of these days I will weave a fish trap out of something other than garbage, but for now you can see that you can actually just take an empty jug. You can use a 2-liter bottle or something smaller, and make a little bait trap, and I'll eventually show you how to make fish traps for bigger fish, and you skip the bait, just go right to trapping the fish you want to eat. But again, there is something that's illegal, so you would, when it's life and death, nothing's illegal. There's a thing called extenuating circumstances. If you get caught, well, then hallelujah, you're rescued. Tell it to the judge. I'm sure it'll be all right. But there's a moral. There's the legislative. There's a letter to the law, and then there's a legislative intent, which is, okay, this law was made to protect a certain situation from happening. And if you can do a thing, if you have to do it to survive, and it's not necessarily legal, at least try to be moral about it while you're doing it. And with the fish traps, again, the moral thing with fish traps is, the problem with them is people will set out fish traps, and they're great, but they might leave a lot of fish that they're not eating, and that just sits there and rots in the sun. You go every day. If you're going to set up some fish traps, like what I do in a pinch, you want to check them every day. Make sure that there's not some fish being trapped in them during the hot hours of the day and just roasting out there at low tide, and birds mowing on it and leaving dead everywhere. every day and clear out your traps. Take what you're going to eat and put the rest back. And before you leave that area, take down those fish traps. And you might even need to check it twice a day if it's super hot, or depending on the tides, how drastic they are, whatever. And how your traps are set up. Just be moralistic about it. If you have to, absolutely have to bend the rules. I don't call it breaking the law, because technically if your life depends on it and you're fishing without a license, you're not technically breaking the law. You're in extenuating circumstances. I don't encourage doing anything like that if you're not, but survival skill is survival. You may be in extenuating circumstances someday, or a situation where there's lawlessness, societal collapse. At that point, fishing laws don't really apply. If you can't get to a grocery store, then you can't. You do whatever you can. But I'll show you more things. For now, this is pretty commonly known little fish trap that you can make. Pretty simple. You get the idea. It's not fully made, because I don't plan on using it. Even if you don't have cordage, you could actually just punch your holes and put little sticks through those holes to hold it together. And you could wrap this with leaves to, not completely cover it, but enough to where it makes the fish feel like it's a hidey hole. And they'll go in it even without bait a lot of times, just to hide in it, because it's a good hidey hole. And it hides them from bigger fish. And it's like that. It's a fish world. And so they're always looking for somewhere to hide from bigger fish. And with that said, y'all have a great day. Until next time, I shall see you soon.